The sound of crumpled bills hitting her face made the entire bar go silent. $20 bills, thrown like garbage, bouncing off Sienna Walsh's forehead, her cheeks scattering across the polished wood bar top and onto the floor at her feet. "There's your tip, sweetheart," Dr. Marcus Hendricks sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "Maybe if you learned to do your job properly, people wouldn't have to throw money at you like the help you are." The bar erupted in gasps and shocked whispers, but nobody moved. Nobody said anything. Everyone just watched as this 26-year-old bartender stood there, money scattered around her like evidence of her humiliation, tears threatening to spill but held back by sheer willpower. What Dr. Hendricks didn't know was that 6 members of the Iron Riders Motorcycle Club were sitting 3 tables away, and every single one of them had just pulled out their phones and hit record. Before we dive into this story, if you believe that sometimes the right words at the right moment can change everything, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Because this story is about what happens when strangers refuse to look away. The Copper Tap sat in the historic district of Reno, Nevada, a craft cocktail bar that attracted professionals, tourists, and locals who appreciated good drinks made by people who actually knew what they were doing. The exposed brick walls displayed local art. Edison bulbs hung from the ceiling, creating warm ambient lighting, and the mahogany bar stretched 40 feet with brass fixtures that Sienna polished every morning before opening. She'd worked there for 4 years, starting as a server and working her way up to head bartender, a position she'd earned through skill, dedication, and the kind of customer service that turned first-timers into regulars. At 26, Sienna was saving every dollar she could. Her younger brother, Tyler, was 17 and battling leukemia for the second time. Their parents had died in a car accident when Sienna was 19 and Tyler was 10, making her his legal guardian, his only family, his entire support system. The medical bills were crushing even with insurance. She worked 50-hour weeks at the Copper Tap, picked up catering gigs on weekends, and still lay awake at night calculating how to cover the next round of treatments that Tyler's doctors said he needed. Tonight was Wednesday, normally a slower evening, but a medical conference at the convention center had brought in clusters of doctors celebrating the end of their seminars. They'd been drinking since 6 p.m., and it was now almost 10. Most were fine, tipping well, engaging in pleasant conversation. But Dr. Marcus Hendricks and his group of 3 colleagues had been problems from the moment they sat down. Hendricks was a cardiac surgeon from Los Angeles, 52 years old, with the kind of arrogance that came from years of people treating him like a god because he held their hearts in his hands, literally. He wore an expensive suit, Rolex gleaming under the bar lights, and treated Sienna like she existed solely to serve him, snapping fingers, interrupting her while she made other drinks, complaining that his Manhattan wasn't strong enough, even though she'd followed the recipe exactly, sending back his second drink for being too strong, making comments about her appearance that made her skin crawl, but that she professionally ignored because she needed this job, needed every tip, needed to keep Tyler in treatment. Another round, Hendricks had demanded 20 minutes ago, waving his hand dismissively. Of course, Sienna had replied with a practiced smile she perfected over 4 years of dealing with difficult customers. Same drinks, obviously, and this time, try to make them right. She'd made the drinks perfectly, delivered them with the same professional courtesy, and returned to helping other customers. That's when Hendricks had called her back over. "This is unacceptable," he'd announced loudly, holding up his Manhattan like it was evidence in a trial. "I specifically told you how I wanted this made, and you still managed to screw it up. Are you incompetent? Or do you just not care about doing your job properly?" Sienna had felt heat rising to her cheeks but kept her voice calm. "I apologize if it's not to your liking. I can remake it, or I can offer you something different, no charge. I don't want you to remake it. I want you to learn how to do your job. I'm a surgeon. I save lives. I have to be perfect every single time, or people die. You're a bartender. You have one job. Make drinks the way customers ask for them. How hard is that?" Other customers had started watching, uncomfortable with his tone, but not intervening. Sienna's manager, Paul, was in the back office doing inventory. She was alone. "I understand your frustration, sir. Let me make this right." "No." Hendricks had pulled out his wallet, yanked out several $20 bills, crumpled them into balls, and thrown them directly at her face. There's your tip, sweetheart. Maybe if you learned to do your job properly, people wouldn't have to throw money at you like the help you are. The bills that hit her face bounced off, scattered everywhere. Sienna had stood there, frozen, humiliated, fighting back tears while Hendricks' colleagues laughed nervously and other customers looked away, embarrassed for her but unwilling to get involved. That's when Gage, president of the Iron Riders Motorcycle Club, Reno chapter, slowly stood up from his table. At 55, Gage had spent 30 years in the club, 20 as president, and he'd seen every kind of disrespect imaginable. But watching a man in a $10,000 suit throw money at a young woman, just trying to do her job, made something in him go cold with controlled fury. Beside him, 5 brothers stood as well. Flint, the sergeant-at-arms, 48, former Marine, who'd lost his son to a drunk driver and dedicated his life to protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. Torch, 42, covered in tattoos, who ran a nonprofit helping at-risk youth find purpose. Rebel, 39, former paramedic, who'd seen enough suffering to recognize it instantly in others. Venom, 51, quiet and intense, who'd served 15 years in prison for defending his sister from her abusive husband and came out determined to make sure violence only ever protected the vulnerable. And Zinc, the youngest at 33, former foster kid, who understood what it felt like to be treated like you didn't matter. All 6 had their phones out. All 6 had been recording since the moment Hendricks raised his voice. And all 6 were walking toward the bar with the kind of deliberate calm that was more terrifying than any show of aggression. "Excuse me," Gage said, his voice cutting through the shocked silence. "I think you dropped something." Hendricks turned, sized up the bikers, and sneered. "Mind your business. This doesn't concern you. When I see a man disrespect a woman who's just trying to do her job, it concerns me." Gage gestured to the money scattered across the floor. "You threw that money at her face. Now you're going to pick it up, every single dollar, and you're going to apologize." Hendricks laughed, actually laughed. "Or what? You'll beat me up? Go ahead. I have lawyers who will own you by morning." "Nobody's beating anybody," Flint said calmly. "We're just going to stand here and make sure you do the right thing." "The right thing?" Hendricks's voice rose. "I'm a doctor. I make $2 million a year. I save lives. She's a bartender. She makes drinks. We're not the same, and I don't take orders from bikers who probably don't have a college degree between them." Gage smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You're right. We're not the same. I spent 22 years as an ER nurse before I retired. Flint over there was a Marine Corps corpsman, saved more lives in combat than you've probably seen in your entire career. Torch has a master's degree in social work. Rebel was a paramedic for 15 years. Venom runs a construction company that employs 200 people. And Zinc? He's a software engineer who makes 6 figures working from home. So yeah, we might not be doctors, but we're also not the kind of men who throw money at women's faces." Hendricks's smirk faltered slightly. Sienna finally found her voice. "It's okay. Really. I'll just pick it up and—" "No," Gage said gently but firmly. "You didn't drop it. He threw it. He picks it up." He turned back to Hendricks. "And while you're picking up every single dollar, every single coin, if there are any, all 6 of us are going to be filming you. And then we're going to post it to every social media platform we have access to, which between the 6 of us reaches about 300,000 people across Nevada and California." "You're insane," Hendricks protested, but his voice had lost some of its confidence. "Pick up the money," Venom said quietly. His voice was soft, but something in his tone made it clear this wasn't a request. Hendricks looked around for support. His colleagues were staring at their drinks. Other customers had their phones out now too, recording. The situation had shifted, and he was suddenly, horrifyingly aware that he was outnumbered not by fists but by witnesses. "This is ridiculous. I'm not bending down to pick up money I already gave her as a tip." "You didn't give her a tip," Rebel corrected. "You assaulted her with currency and verbal abuse. There's a difference." Paul, the manager, finally emerged from the back office, assessed the situation, and looked at Hendricks. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." "Gladly," Hendricks said, standing up. "But I'm not picking up anything. Gage stepped in his path, not threateningly, just present. You're not leaving until you pick up every dollar you threw and hand it to her properly with an apology. Move, Hendricks demanded. Make me, Gage replied calmly. Put your hands on me. Give me a reason to call the police and press assault charges. Or better yet, just bend down, pick up the money you threw like a child having a tantrum, apologize like a man, and walk out of here with whatever dignity you have left. The standoff lasted 30 seconds that felt like hours. Hendricks's face went red, then purple. His colleagues wouldn't meet his eyes. Every phone in the bar was pointed at him. Someone had started a Facebook live stream. The view count was climbing, 200, 500, 1,000 people watching in real time. Finally, his survival instinct kicked in. He bent down, started picking up the crumpled 20s with shaking hands. Each bill he picked up felt like a piece of his ego dying. His Rolex scraped against the floor. His expensive suit jacket got dusty. And the entire time, 6 bikers stood there filming, not gloating, not celebrating, just documenting. When he collected all the bills, straightened them out awkwardly, he looked at Sienna. She was crying now, not from humiliation anymore, but from the overwhelming relief of being defended, of mattering to someone. I am sorry, Hendricks mumbled. Louder, Torch said, and look at her when you say it. Hendricks's jaw clenched. I'm sorry for throwing money at you. It was disrespectful and wrong. Now hand it to her properly, Gage instructed. Hendricks extended the bills toward Sienna. She took them with trembling hands. You can leave now, Paul said coldly. And don't come back. You're banned from this establishment. Hendricks and his colleagues gathered their things and hurried toward the exit, but Zink blocked the door for just a moment. One more thing. That video we just took. It's already on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You're tagged. Your hospital is tagged. The medical conference you're attending is tagged. Might want to check your notifications. Hendricks pulled out his phone, and his face went pale. The video had been posted 4 minutes ago and already had 50,000 views. Comments were flooding in. Is this Dr. Marcus Hendricks from Cedars-Sinai? Someone call his hospital. This man touches people's hearts for a living and treats service workers like garbage. I'm a nurse at his hospital. This doesn't surprise me at all. He treats staff the same way. Forwarding this to the medical board. This behavior is unacceptable. His phone started ringing. The hospital administrator, then his department chair, then his wife. He silenced it, pushed past Zink, and practically ran to his rental car. Inside the copper tap, the atmosphere transformed. Customers who'd been silent during the confrontation now erupted in applause. Sienna was still crying, but Gage walked over, pulled a clean handkerchief from his pocket, and handed it to her. You okay? She nodded, unable to speak. How much did he throw at you? Flint asked. Sienna counted. 4 20s. $80. Keep it, Gage said. But we're adding to it. He pulled out his wallet, put down $200 bills. The other 5 bikers did the same. Within seconds, there was $1,200 on the bar. I can't accept this, Sienna protested weakly. Yes, you can, Rebel said gently. Consider it an investment in someone who deserves better than what just happened. But why? You don't even know me. Torch smiled. We know enough. We know you handled a terrible situation with grace. We know you were trying to de-escalate instead of escalate. We know you didn't want to make a scene even though you had every right to. That tells us everything we need to know about your character. Paul walked over, looking shaken. Sienna, I'm so sorry. I should have been out here. I should have intervened sooner. It's okay, she said quietly. It's not okay, Paul replied. And to make up for it, you're getting a raise, effective immediately. And I'm implementing a new policy. Any customer who disrespects staff gets permanently banned. No exceptions. Other customers started coming up, leaving tips, offering support, sharing their own stories of being disrespected in service jobs. The Copper Tap became less like a bar and more like a community gathering, united by the shared belief that what they'd witnessed was wrong and refusing to let it pass unremarked. By midnight, the video had 2 million views. Dr. Marcus Hendricks was trending on Twitter. His hospital released a statement. We are aware of the video circulating on social media. The behavior depicted does not reflect the values of our institution. Dr. Hendricks has been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. The medical board opened an inquiry. His colleagues from the conference distanced themselves publicly. His wife filed for separation, citing ongoing pattern of disrespectful behavior that apparently extended well beyond this incident. But the story that mattered most was quieter, smaller, the kind that doesn't trend, but changes everything for the people involved. 3 days later, Sienna showed up for her shift to find Gage sitting at the bar, sipping coffee. "We need to talk," he said. Her heart sank. Had she done something wrong? Okay. The video went viral. You know that. But what you don't know is that it reached someone who wants to help. He pulled out his phone, showed her a message. "This is from Dr. Raymond Chun. He's an oncologist who saw the video, did some digging, and found out about your brother Tyler." Sienna went very still. "How did he?" "Your GoFundMe is linked to your social media. People looked you up after the video, found out you've been working yourself to death to pay for your brother's treatment." Gage's voice was gentle. "Dr. Chun wants to meet with you and Tyler. He thinks he can help." The meeting happened that weekend. Dr. Chun reviewed Tyler's medical records and made some calls. Within a week, Tyler was accepted into a clinical trial for a cutting-edge leukemia treatment, completely free. The trial was showing a 90% success rate. For the first time in 2 years, Sienna felt something she'd almost forgotten: hope. The Iron Riders didn't stop there. They organized a fundraiser that raised $50,000 for Tyler's additional medical expenses and living costs. Torch connected Sienna with a scholarship program for people working in service industry who wanted to pursue higher education. She'd always dreamed of becoming a nurse, but thought it was impossible. 6 months later, Tyler's cancer was in remission. Sienna was enrolled in nursing school, working part-time at the Copper Tap, and the wall of the bar featured a framed photo. 6 bikers standing behind a smiling bartender, with a caption that read, "The night strangers became family." Dr. Marcus Hendricks lost his position at Cedars-Sinai. His medical license was suspended for 6 months pending ethics review, and he ended up taking a job at a small clinic in Arizona, making a quarter of his previous salary. Some say he learned humility. Others say he just learned to hide his contempt better. Either way, he never forgot the night 6 bikers with phones changed his life forever. But Sienna? She never forgot either. She remembered that the world is full of people who look away, but also people who refuse to. She remembered that sometimes the scariest-looking people have the biggest hearts. And she remembered that standing up for someone doesn't require superpowers, just the willingness to record, to speak up, to make someone understand that their actions have consequences. On Tyler's 18th birthday, healthy and cancer-free, he asked Sienna what she wanted for her own birthday coming up. She smiled and said, "I already have everything I need. But if you want to do something, donate to the Iron Riders Charity Fund. They save lives without wearing white coats." Because that's what the Iron Riders did. They showed up, they filmed, they refused to let cruelty pass unchallenged. They didn't save the day with violence. They saved it with phones, voices, and the simple belief that everyone deserves dignity, regardless of what they do for a living. And somewhere in Reno, at the Copper Tap, Sienna still works Friday nights while finishing nursing school. She still makes perfect Manhattans. She still treats every customer with respect. But now, when someone starts to get out of line, regulars are quick to point out the photo on the wall and say, "You don't want to be that guy." Trust me, if this story moved you, share with someone who needs to remember that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear leather vests and carry phones, ready to document injustice and make sure it has consequences. Drop a comment if you believe service workers deserve respect. And hit that subscribe button, because stories like this remind us that ordinary people can create extraordinary change just by refusing to look away.